Someone who has recently finished the series, you think I'd be able to answer this, but what the hell is the Dark Tower? Hello there, welcome to Over a Couple of Drinks. Hey! This is what the hell is the Dark Tower? Normally this is where the guest says something funny or quippy while I
Oh,
take a drink, but you know what? We got Eric here, so it doesn't matter.
I'm a little nervous.
This is only his second time on, and his wife is heckling him from the background.
Yes. Relentless, though.
As this movie has snuck up on me completely, in a few days or mere 24 hours, the Dark Tower movie is going to be released. So I figured, hey, we should do a video on it because most people don't really know what the Dark Tower is.
There's a lot to get into. It's not really easy for a newcomer.
And I could think of nobody better to be on this video than Eric, because he is the man who turned me onto the path of the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're going to be a real big nerd here, he turned me onto the path of the beam.
The beam. Yeah, Joan yelled it out too.
Mm-hmm. Inside nerd shit. So this video is going to probably for the first part be a little spoiler free, simply because there's going to be a point where we're going to have to talk about spoilers just simply because of the nature of the story. But if you want to know what's up first, I'll make sure I put spoilers at the bottom so nobody knows when to stop watching, or everybody knows when to stop watching. And we'll try to keep it short, even though this book series is 40 years in the making or some shit like that.
Yeah. He was 19 when he started writing it.
Yes, we learned that.
And what was it? Wind in the Keyhole came out last year? 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah, it's 7 main books, 5 graphic novels, an 8th book that was added, and then the rest of the Stephen King universe was all put in there. Everything from It to what's it called? What's that dragon one? To his Insomnia.
Eyes
to
of the Dragon.
Salem's Lot. Eyes of the Dragon.
The
Stand.
The Shining is apparently connected.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, pretty much any one of Stephen King's books has some kind of reference to the Dark Tower in there.
Or the tower reference it specifically in some way or shape or form.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the story. Now, dealing with this story, I've said it once before, I've said it a bunch of times on our shows, but nobody watches, so I'll say it again, is that the one thing you have to kind of realize with the tower is that it's not a friendly adventure. All right, this isn't.
No.
This is even Lord of the Rings starts off like, "Hey, we gotta go on an adventure," and you kind of have that sense of wonder and amazement, and it's kind of like going all right. And then everything turns to hell, and you kind of go, "Ooh, this is not good." No, this starts out rough from the get go, and it's not like I said a happy adventure like Harry Potter. Let's go to Hogwarts and get in another adventure. No, it's Roland grabs you by the collar and says, "We're going to the tower, damn it," and we're going to the tower, damn it.
It's a journey through a dying world.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's filled with despair and death, and it's filled with frustration and red herrings and a story that gets convoluted by the end of it. That King doesn't even have answers to some of the stuff that maybe will get answered in books later. That he was drugged out, coked out, drunk, writing some of this. It's not a straightforward, rollicking good time at all. It's strange, but it hooks you. And the more you read his stuff and the more the movies that reference it as well, the more you get pulled into it. And the more you start noticing these different patterns. And I always was hooked on him because he pulls from such a wide array of sources. Like he started with the Arthur legend. He pulls in like the George Campbell
Bear Sardock or
yeah.
Here, fair warning too. This is like the first time I ever said most of these words out loud. So if we butcher it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Shardik, he was Richard Adams' novel, the guy who wrote Watership Down.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was. He had 3 big animal novels: Watership Down, Plague Dogs, and Shardik. And Shardik was about, I remember right, this like primeval tribe that worshipped this massive, monstrous bear. I mean, it didn't really have anything to do with what King wrote about. I think he just pulled from it as a source.
Okay. I didn't.
He shamelessly pulls from everywhere.
He pulls from everywhere because it gets very weird as the story goes on. But at that point, you're so invested. And here's the thing. Here's a fair warning again for people who don't know what the Tower is. If you go out and buy the Gunslinger Book 1, you're going to be very, very alienated from the get go. It's not so, and it's something you have to get used to. And I know that sounds weird for a book that you're supposed to enjoy, but you're never going to feel okay because at any time, at any point, at any chapter, at any paragraph, the genre changes.
Yep.
And it's something that I couldn't get used to until halfway through book 2 of 7 or 8 or whatever you want to call it. And it's just something you need to, and it's like, even then I didn't really accept it until like book 3 when the main character Roland says, wait, your stories from your place only have one genre? And you go, oh, we're telling a mid-world tale where things change on the go. And it's something you need to grasp immediately if you're going to continue the journey.
The first book can really be seen as a prologue, I think.
Yeah.
It's him coming to terms with the beginning of his journey and the first betrayal he has with Jake. And
we're not there yet. Spoilers are going to get real heavy. This is to set you up with an idea of the world, okay? Like, if anything, the first book is as close to a Western as you'll get.
Yeah, and Stephen King wrote it when he was in college.
I mean, besides maybe Wolves of the Kala, but that's more Seven Samurais, and you can say The Magnificent Seven. But again,
it is so low. Yeah. But, I mean, I remember I was
11 when I first read it.
You were 11 when you read The Gunslinger?
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't have understood that.
It took me 3 years.
I think I read The Gunslinger in a weekend.
Yeah. I was in college. I was back home for college, and I remember just burning through it and getting to that very last scene where the universe just kind of expands. Yeah, like that Marvel scene from the end of Men in Black.
Yeah.
And remembering just sitting there reading it and just going, what?
Yeah.
What is this? Because I'd never read anything like that before. I'd never even remotely read anything like that. And it just, like, what's happening next? And then you go into the drawing of the 3, which confused me because it's book 2. It doesn't make it easy on you.
And he doesn't draw 3 until
book 3.
Doesn't. But I guess in general terms, The Dark Tower is a story about a man, Roland, from a different world to save the Dark Tower from the forces of evil, and the tower holds everything together. That's your synopsis right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the simplest explanation of the whole thing. But that is like not even scratch on the surface of an iceberg.
No.
And I guess, I don't know, do we want to jump into spoilers now? Because this movie, one of the reasons why I wanted to make it, because a friend said he read the first book and then Wikipedia'd the rest to watch the movie. And I'm like, yeah.
It's so disappointing.
It's so disappointing because it's like, you're not there. And it's one of the things that I'm kind of worried about the movie. And I don't want to say until we get into the spoiler section.
Yeah, I know. And I have been telling Bill, I've been waiting years to talk with you about the ending of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they announced that particular change for the movie, that's the only way this could have worked.
Yep. And it's something that is, I'm glad that I finished the series before knowing what that change was.
Yeah.
And I hope they fully embrace the change because it's a way to get around from the awful book movie adaptation.
We are dancing around it. Let's just hop in.
Okay. We're putting on the spoilers on the screen. Yeah. All right. So here's your fair warning. We're going to talk into full spoilers for the books. If you want to go see the movie without knowing, cool. But here it is. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, out. The movie is a sequel to the book series.
Yeah. He has the horn.
So, at
yeah,
the end
Arthur's
of
horn.
the series, Roland reaches the tower, and there's this amazing moment that when I was reading it, I was like, this isn't happening. Where Stephen King stops the story and says, this is the end.
Well,
Don't-
this is
Don't
Roland
read
gets
anymore.
there.
Yeah, Roland gets there. He goes,
there.
don't read anymore. I don't have an ending. And then he has these sub-chapters inside of chapters and goes, shit, you're still here, aren't you? Okay. You're not going to like it. There's no happy ending.
Breaking
like,
the fourth wall for the third time in the book series.
A billion times. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like at this point you're like, I have to know because this is not about this. This is not a happy ending book. Okay.
Yeah.
This at times makes the whole A Song of Ice and Fire look like a kid's TV show to me. I told you that story, right? I read the Wizard and Glass Caillou Tree.
Oh.
And I stopped the book and set it down. And this was when I was in the middle of a Sword of Storms.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the Red Wedding was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to cheer myself up by reading the Red Wedding. And I was like, yeah, the Red Wedding is awful, but
yeah, that
I love you forever, Roland, and that just hurts.
I cried at the Caillou Tree. I cried when Oi died. I cried when Jake died. I cried when Callahan died.
Eddie.
Eddie, yeah.
Eddie dying was the first woof moment where I go, oh no.
Yeah, but it was Jake's eulogy is that what really got me.
Yeah. So knowing this and knowing he said there is no happy ending, I go, I gotta read it. I have to read it. And you read it, and he hits the tower.
You hated the ending, Joan?
Joan hated the ending.
All right, let's talk about this.
Hold on, I spent way more years than you guys did investing in this book series. So when I get to the end, I'm like, what? It's kind of like the ending of Lost, where you're like, seriously? That's what it is.
When did you turn me onto the tower? 08, 09?
Yeah.
And I read
all the books were out already.
Yeah, all the books were out except Went Through the
1991.
Keyhole.
Yeah, Joan's been reading this since 91.
Till 2004 or 5. So I mean, at that point, you're like,
So
what the fuck?
she has me beat by like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I'm just a terribly slow reader and procrastinated a bunch too.
Wait, talking by finishing it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I finished it the day it came out.
A 1,000-page book in a day. That is incredible.
I'm not even remotely doubting it.
No, I'm not doubting it at all.
Yeah.
Picked it up at midnight, and I read it until I was done. Pretty sure I skipped like 3 classes in college.
See, the reason why I like the ending is that
we haven't gotten to what the ending
to...
is yet. Hold on, let's tell what the ending is, and then you can talk about why you liked it.
All right.
So Roland hits the tower. He starts going up the stairs, and every floor is a chunk of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And at the top, he opens the door and reluctantly steps through because he realizes he wishes he still had the horn that his friend, his name's blanking on me,
Cuthbert?
Cuthbert had.
Elaine or Cuthbert?
Cuthbert.
All good,
Cuthbert.
and Elaine.
Whichever one was a jokester.
Cuthbert had it, and he wishes he would have picked up the horn at his on the battle that kind of started the whole downfall for Roland.
Yeah.
And he steps through the door and realizes that he is starting the chain over again.
Yeah.
And he starts at the beginning of the Gunslinger, book 1, in the desert, holding the horn with the most, and it ends the way it begins with probably, I think, my personal favorite start to any book ever, which is
the man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed.
And that's how it ends.
It's such a simple sentence. It's like who's the writer that wrote Hemingway? It's like Hemingway.
Yeah.
Subject, verb, object. Just
Yeah.
straight to the point.
It's enough to grab you. It's a good hook to go. Who's the gunslinger? Who's the man in black? And why is he running away from him?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and it sets up the next 7 books.
Mm-hmm. And
that chase.
in this ending, which we're going to talk about, and why Sprots love it so much, and why Joan hates it. It leaves a lot open for you to figure out what it means. And, I have to imagine, I wish I would have finished it sooner because I wanted to ponder this question more without the movie answering it.
Mm-hmm.
What it really means. Because I dropped a nugget of what I prefer to think on you. Because a lot of people think that, it's a time through again with a micro change. And maybe he can do it better this time.
I never saw it that way, though.
How do you see it?
I saw it as King really approached it as a fourth wall breaking meta adventure. That he wrote himself into the story, and he even was referred to as a godlike person by them, and he sees that as him creating this world. And at the end, he gives the reader a choice. He makes the reader a character in the story, just like he wrote himself in the story. So when you get to the end, that first time you get it, you read that and you make a choice. Do you want to keep reading, or do you want to end it? First time through, everybody reads it.
It's not choose your adventure.
Yeah, it is though. You
is.
At the end, you make a choice. You make a choice.
Rewrite the whole books, and he's gonna take himself out. But then after he rewrote the first book, he's like, "Fuck it, this is too much work." Seriously, he did say that. He was like, "I shouldn't have put myself in the book."
Well, he did, and
He
so that's what we have. And so you get to the end, and you
Hey,
make the
what do you
decision whether you want to keep reading or not.
Yeah.
You choose to keep reading, like your first time through, and you get to the end, and you realize something changed. You read it a second time through, you get to the end, maybe you don't. Maybe you, as the reader, end Roland's story. You make the decision that he reaches the tower, he reaches his goal. If you read to the end again, he doesn't reach his goal, and he has to do it over. And he goes back to the beginning.
Joan.
He didn't reach his goal.
He didn't,
Joan,
because you read to the end.
Joan off screen, who doesn't want to be on screen.
I'm a political person, and I need a beginning and an end, and everything wrapped up in a nice bow.
What do you think of the ending, Joan?
I thought it sucked. Not in a bad way. I mean, I liked it, clearly, because I've read the book series like 6 or 7 times.
But what do you think it means? By the way, Joan doesn't want to be on screen right now because she's sneezing a bunch.
I just think it's kind of like reincarnation, where you get a second chance, and he just keeps fucking up. And he's basically in purgatory, and he just is being tortured over and over and over again.
And
because of all the things he's done.
So this is a personal punishment for Roland?
I think so.
So this is less about the journey to the tower and more about Roland atoning?
I think it's a journey of him trying to figure out that he needed to forgive himself, and he just never did.
okay. I mean, that's a serious undertone in just about everything in the whole series.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I like that. I love these questions because I'll never have an answer, so I like to pick at them in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And my personal favorite one that I dropped on Eric was, we're always told that there's only one tower and there's many worlds, but there's only one last gunslinger. And I always thought, well, I mean, in the time since I read it, so not that long, was what if we were lied to? What if there are multiple towers, but only one Roland? So when he goes through again, he's not in his midworld anymore.
He's in a different world.
He's in a different midworld with a different tower to stop a different Man in Black and a different Crimson King.
That fits along with the mythology that there's one Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
That the Arthur Eld in Midworld is the Arthur in our world.
Yeah.
And maybe as it's gone through each time, it's a... Okay.
Because, I mean, if you want to really start picking apart, Roland's journey has been retold in different ways. If you think of it as a story that has never really ended, maybe he was Arthur.
Yeah.
Who knows? I just like picking these questions apart because there is no answer, and I just like adding a new wrinkle. Now, someone might come along and be like, this is dumb because this and doesn't make any sense. That's fine. I'll just find a new question. I just like...
Because, I mean, the way Midworld and All World and End World were set up is that the Dark Tower was the center of the spoke and the beams running out from there.
Yeah.
And it circled around it. but that's just that world.
That's just because we quickly go from one world and then there's our world, but then you find out there's other worlds, and there's the
That's where they
Keystone
fall off.
world, and something I want to pick up your question on, not exactly on here because it's not fitting, but is more of a question along the lines of where people land on certain worlds, because Eddie isn't from the same world as, say, maybe Jake or Susanna, because there's certain things that are different, and they're all different wrinkles, and it adds a little complication in book 3 that I thought was really, really cool. And again, it makes it complicated, but this is a series that was written over 20 years, so you kind of like, or 30 years or whatever it is, and you kind of forgive some of those questions. But it was something I wanted to pick your brain at, just because of something, and I'll never had a chance because people are always in there, and I don't want to spoil stuff, you know. And so what makes me really excited is the idea that the movie is another time through, and I love that Stephen King posted a picture of just the horn.
Yeah.
With the words that said one more, what was it? One more time through or something like that?
One more time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so you want to know why in this version that is created, Roland is played by Idris Elba, who can do anything. I don't care what anybody says. If he wants to be Idris Elba and that sexy, sexy voice of his.
Always be Stringer Bell.
Idris Elba, anything. And if they sign him up to be James Bond, I'm there. I am so there.
Joan's not into that idea as much.
I think it should be his own.
You know what?
She says that they need a different kind of spy movie for him, and that Bond has a character.
Not a spy movie. It's just, instead of putting him into this character, it should be. I think obviously this is African American. I feel like they should have their own storyline for a new series based on him. He could be the original whatever this new thing is. Just like, you know, forever Sean Connery would always be my number one James Bond.
That is the only correct answer.
It should just be like their own thing where they.
Well,
I don't know.
Again, we'll talk about this after we're done recording. Because this is great. See, Joan, this is why I'm sad we never talked at the wedding, because you were too busy. Because there's things I just want to talk and pick your brain about. This is great. Love it. Another time, though. So it's interesting that the movie is taking this approach that it's a sequel to the series. Because then they can change anything they want.
Yep. And I think they...
And like, all my friends are going, oh, should I read the book first? I'm like, you should read the books first, because this isn't really the gunslinger. This isn't I mean, elements are there. There's Roland and Jake, but McConaughey isn't really playing what I would think as, you know, Walter or Randall or whatever you want to call him. He's too cool and too suave to be Walter O'Dim or Randall Flagg, you know?
More of a modern version of those characters.
Yeah. So which is why it's a different world, but the same Roland works for me.
I see where you're going with that.
Like, there's still things that bleed over, like everything always bleeds over, like the idea that Co-op City's in Brooklyn, you know, and things like that. But it's just like, this is a different version, and if his movie is, please God, don't let it be, but if it's bad, it doesn't damage the series in any way, shape, or form. Because it's not The Gunslinger, book 1. It's book 8, the movie. Or 9, or whatever the hell.
And the only thing that threw me off, though, is that line that Jake said to Roland, where he's like, you're going to really like Earth.
Yeah.
That threw me off.
Yeah, when he's talking about the guns, you have guns in your world.
Yeah.
Because Roland just doesn't use any kind of gun.
He uses his gun.
He uses his father's guns. Just like Jake in the book uses his father's Luger or whatever.
Doesn't he use something in the attack on Salazar's penthouse?
No, Eddie
used it? Yeah.
Yeah, because they split
Eddie
the guns.
was naked.
Eddie shot a gun that he picked up from one of the guns.
No,
so Eddie ends up with Roland's other gun because he only has one hand.
Yeah. And Susanna had the discs.
Yeah. Susanna had the discs and would take
Jake
Roland's
had his
cannon
dad's gun.
Okay. I thought for some reason Roland picked up another gun once.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of.
That's splitting hairs, but that's whatever.
But that brings up something though. That I always liked that it wasn't their guns. These were my father's guns.
Mm-hmm.
That it was something like it was. Like, these were the guns from the line of Eld that came down. These were Arthur's that he was given 3,000 years ago that were passed down.
In that scene.
Oh,
Mhm.
I was thinking he picked up ammo from our world, not guns.
Yeah,
He
That-
picks up ammo
That might be where they're going with that too.
And key flex.
because I don't see anywhere in the trailer he's picking up another gun.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is that again that fits into this theory that it's a different world but the same Roland that doesn't remember anything. Is that Jake is now in present day.
Yeah.
He's not in 1970 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
and again that's kind of what makes me super
And
excited
he
for
goes
this
to the
movie.
bookstore.
What?
What's that?
He goes to the bookstore.
He does.
He does?
In the trailer.
Remember, he drew the picture of the building.
Uh huh.
And he goes to that building, and that building's a bookstore
Oh, it's not an abandoned building anymore.
where there's 21 books, and he bought 2 books, and now there's 19.
Oh, snap, not 19.
Yeah.
19.
I think.
7:19 tomorrow.
Yeah. 7:19 is the opening time.
Mm.
Yeah. We got tickets.
I should see, is there 919?
Mhm.
On it right away.
But yeah, that brings up something that these
Hey,
are.
my birth year is 1999.
My birthday is 19 as well. 1986.
How?
19. 9.
1 9 is 10. 8 1's 9. 19.
Oh, okay.
Sucker.
Oh my god, there's a showing tomorrow, 1919. Yep. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
god, I should.
Yeah, 19. Oh, I didn't even.
That's 7:19.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
1919.
didn't even click that. It was military time.
Oh, and there's none on Friday when I would actually be able to see it. Oh, that bums me out so bad that I want to go to the
We're totally
1919
gonna
show.
call you right after you watch it.
Oh, you suck. So, okay, we're gonna wrap it up real quick here, but
Can we talk about It for a second?
what about it?
The
The new one.
the new It movie.
Do you want to talk about it here? Or you want to talk about it somewhere else?
Oh, we can talk about wherever. But how I hope they tie it in and it becomes a new multiverse that they're not telling anybody about.
Well, I originally thought
Because
that,
Stephen
but
King
it's
stuff already connects.
the two different companies on them,
Oh, okay.
which is a bum. But did you know that they did reference it in the trailer already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's
And did you know that the It movies came out 27 years apart, just like in the book?
oh, that's creepy.
I know, I love it.
I love it. It's
No,
because something had me wondered since the Mist TV show started this year too.
There's a Mist TV show?
They just came out with it, like a Mist TV show of like the rest of the town.
Oh, that movie was so good.
Mm-hmm. So,
Movie?
The Mist?
Never seen it.
you owe yourself a favor.
We are not going to ruin this for you.
No, this is not something nobody talks about the ending. That's number one.
Yeah. And be okay with the
Consequences.
sci-fi channel level CGI.
Watch
just
watch the
look
black and
past
white. Watch the black and white one.
Oh,
The guy who made it, the guy who did Shawshank Redemption and the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
that guy, he wanted to do it in black and white. And I have the 2-disc DVD that has the black and white.
oh, that'd be so
I mean,
cool.
it doesn't fix all the CG.
A mist comes over this town and things start happening.
It's toe dash space.
It is.
It's they open up a thinny.
Is it dairy?
No, but I bet it's in Maine.
It's in Maine.
It is in Maine.
And Thomas Jane is painting a picture for the movie
Yeah.
of The Dark Tower.
Of the Dark Tower. Yep.
Yep. So
Yeah, we'll watch it this next week.
yeah, but it's
good.
it's really good.
Really
It's-
good.
It's a thinny. They open up a thinny.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
but again, this is all for other things. Throwing spoilers off because no one's gonna watch this.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Dark Tower is something that should be endured by everyone, not half-assed. Like read the first one and Wikipedia it.
Hmm.
It's something you should commit yourself to do. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it it affects you.
Mm-hmm.
It sticks with you, and it's something that kind of nestles itself in your mind, and when it bubbles up
Yeah.
as your life goes on, and as you get older, you want to read it again and experience it again.
Well,
It really showcases King's ability to suck you into a flawed world.
I mean, what, over 9, 10 years or whatever like that for me of reading, nothing but King pretty much. What did
Hmm.
the first thing I do after I picked up all 8 books? I picked up The Stand,
Hmm.
all 1,200 pages.
How far are you in it?
Not too far. We're still in the Captain Tripp section,
All right.
and we just had Randall Flagg show up, and I was
Mm.
like, I think I need to take a break from King for a brief moment.
Read Salem's Lot as well.
I'm
Oh, I loved Salem's
I
Lot.
And
m-
Oh, yes. Joan recommends the book Summer of Night as well.
okay. My
Not King, but King-esque.
my goal is to pick up a non-movie cover of It and Salem's Lot.
Hmm.
I
There's the Penguin paperbacks. They always have.
yeah.
There's a ton of them.
We were walking through the store with my 2 kids, and we walked past the book section, and I pick up the Gunslinger with the movie poster, and I go,
Hmm.
"It's a shame, kids, ruining good literature with awful posters." To be fair, though, I really do like the poster of this movie, with
Hmm.
them standing in upside down New York, and the outlines of the negative
Yeah.
space is the actual tower. That's awesome. So that's The Dark Tower. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what you think below. Give us your full review. Nobody watched this. Don't worry about
very positive.
it. Have you
One
met
day,
me?
one day you'll make so much money on this.
Never.
Did you talk about sex scenes with it, dude?
The sex scene from It? No, we're not talking about that. We're moving on.
I'm just wondering how that happened.
Very quickly.
Say goodnight, Joan.
Say goodnight.
Oh, 6 people.
Say goodnight, Joan.
Good night.
Say goodnight, Eric.
Good night, Eric.
I hate you so much. Thanks for watching.